When we hear the word prison, we often think of thick steel bars, tall fences, and watchtowers, maybe even scenes from movies or TV shows. But few of us ever stop to wonder, how are these prisons actually built? What does it take to construct a place designed to hold people, not just securely but humanely, under constant surveillance and for long periods of time? Today, we're taking a deeper look into how prisons are made, from the drawing board to the last brick. It's not just about locking doors and throwing away keys. It's about design, ethics, safety, and a whole lot of concrete. Let's break it down, right here, on History of Simple Things. Before anything physical gets built, it all starts with purpose. Governments, correctional departments, or private companies decide to build a prison because there's a need, whether it's due to overcrowding in existing facilities, a change in criminal justice policy, or the closure of outdated buildings. Once the need is established, planners have to figure out what kind of prison it will be. Is it a maximum security facility meant for high-risk inmates? Or is it a minimum security prison for nonviolent offenders? These decisions influence every single design choice down the road, from how thick the wall should be to how many guards are needed per shift. The next major step is choosing the location. This isn't as simple as pointing to a spot on a map. A site has to be large enough, away from dense residential areas, and near infrastructure like water, electricity, and roads. But it's not just about convenience. A lot of communities push back against having prisons built nearby. No one wants to live next door to a correctional facility, even if it means job opportunities for locals. Environmental impact assessments are also required, especially in regions where wildlife or protected land could be disturbed. Once a site is chosen, soil testing begins. Engineers need to know if the land can support massive concrete structures, security perimeters, and underground utilities. If the ground isn't stable, the whole plan could literally fall apart. Now comes the blueprints. Architects and security experts work together to create detailed plans that account for both safety and functionality. A prison isn't like a regular building. Every detail is critical. There are cell blocks, communal areas, control rooms, medical wards, visitation zones, kitchens, and exercise yards. Each has to be carefully positioned for optimal surveillance and minimal risk. For example, blind spots are a big no-no. Architects will use curved corridors or one-way glass to reduce them. Even the direction a hallway faces can be influenced by how sunlight enters, because even inmates need access to natural light for mental health. Modern prisons might also include rehabilitation spaces like classrooms, libraries, and therapy rooms, signaling a shift from punishment to correction. Still, everything must be tough enough to resist tampering, manipulation, and escape. Once the plans are finalized, it's time to gather materials. Prisons are built to last, and to resist destruction from the inside. The primary material is usually reinforced concrete. It's cheap, strong, and nearly impossible to break through. Steel is used extensively, especially for bars, doors, and fencing. Construction crews often follow strict guidelines to avoid accidents or delays. In some cases, specially trained contractors are brought in, since security features like motion sensors, CCTV wiring, and automated locking systems are integrated during the building phase, not after. Fun fact: prison cells are often prefabricated off-site. Entire steel units, including the bed, toilet, and walls, are manufactured in a factory, shipped in, and dropped into place like oversized Lego blocks. It's faster and more efficient, and limits the chance of construction defects. One of the most complex parts of building a prison is designing its layered security systems. Think of it like an onion, with layers of protection built on top of each other. The outer layer is the physical barrier, tall walls, electrified fences, motion detectors, and sometimes razor wire. The next layer involves internal checkpoints, security cameras, intercom systems, and radio communication for guards. Then you have the smart tech, facial recognition, digital logs, keycard access, and real-time tracking of inmates. Control rooms act like the brain of the facility, often filled with monitors and computers tracking every movement. If one security layer fails, the others are meant to back it up. Beyond safety and structure, designers also have to consider life inside. Inmates don't just sit in cells all day. They eat, exercise, go to classes, and receive visitors. Dining halls have to handle hundreds of meals a day. Medical facilities must accommodate anything from minor injuries to chronic illnesses. Recreational spaces need to be safe, but also durable. No weights that can be turned into weapons, for instance. Even simple things like lighting and temperature control are crucial, because poor conditions can lead to unrest or legal challenges. Staff facilities also need attention. Correctional officers work in high-stress environments and need secure private areas to rest, eat, and debrief. Separate entrances, offices, and break rooms are part of the layout from day one. Building a prison isn't cheap. A small minimum security facility might cost tens of millions of dollars. A large, high-tech maximum security prison can go into the hundreds of millions. On average, it takes anywhere from 2 to 5 years from planning to opening day. Budgets include not just construction, but training staff, installing tech, and preparing operational plans. Overspending is common, especially when unexpected security challenges or political delays get in the way. So the next time you see a prison on the news, or drive past one on the highway, remember, it's more than just a place to keep people locked up. It's a complex, carefully designed environment built to manage human behavior, enforce justice, and, ideally, support rehabilitation. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.